Welcome back to the Comp Closet podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Sarah Moore, and today we are lucky enough to be joined by one of the newest Australian FMG Pro athletes, Bec Callaughan. Welcome.
Hello. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. Honestly, as soon as I saw you on the Sydney stage a few weeks ago, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to chat to Bec and hear more about your journey. So I'm super, super excited. But let's start from earlier on in your journey, before the stage and before the pro card. Who were you and what led you to the sport in the first place?
Yeah, I feel like there's lots of layers to a question like that. I mean, we're not all young people anymore, but before the stage, before the pro card, I was more or less just someone who really loved training. I loved just the process that comes with everything we do in and out of the gym. And I've always been really driven by self growth and like bettering myself. And I definitely didn't start with the big longing dreams of always wanting to become a pro when I first stepped foot into the gym. I started really just wanting to, I guess, just prove to myself that I could follow through with something hard, I could get uncomfortable. And I mean, I've always been someone who really values and thrives off like discipline and structure. I love me a good routine. I love me a predictable routine. But yeah, I think I've also been someone who's worked really hard to believe in myself as well. Like that has been a really, really long journey to have that self belief and self trust. So I guess competing really just gave me that opportunity for all of those things, really, to really bring a lot of that to life and have a really big personal challenge that's not necessarily just about a performance, like it is that thing for me. And yeah, the stage was never necessarily just like a destination. It was more like that, I guess, like that checkpoint to like know that there's something bigger and greater out there. And I've always been really sporty. I did athletics really competitively growing up until like 18, 20 ish. So I've always had that very competitive drive and I've loved being an athlete. I definitely lost that part of me for quite some time when I did stop doing athletics and it took a hit. My mental health took a hit. There were a lot of other components in there. And I feel like stepping back into the gym when I did, it helped a lot of those parts of my life where mental health started coming back and I started feeling more myself. And then I was like, maybe I should get a coach. Like that's what people do. And I think that was like back in 2018 or 2019 or something like that. And I've truly never looked back. Like since I got a coach, Sherelle, she's been incredible. And I really got back into that rhythm of like feeling more like me again. Then the bodybuilding side of things and competing became a little bit more of like a curiosity at first. I was like, oh, what's this? This looks cool. People are really pushing themselves. I could get around this. And yeah, the moment that those thoughts started ruminating, it really gave me a whole lot more sense of like purpose, outlet. Yeah, that identity, that athlete identity really started coming back. And I was like, this is it. This is the thing I'm going to be doing.
Yes. And do you remember the moment that you decided, like, okay, I'm actually going to compete? Like, did you kind of already have your coach and then you had a chat to her? How did that process go?
Yeah, I mean, I had already had a coach and I'd definitely spoken with her about it long before I ever stepped on stage. But I wouldn't really say it was one particular moment. I would say like it was more of a slow realization. And I think it was speaking back to that work that I'd done to have that trust and self belief. That was the roadblock for quite some time. It was like, oh, that curiosity was there, but it's like, could I really do that? Haven't been an athlete for many, many years. Like, is this something I could really step into? But as I did the work on myself internally, like that started to subside. And all of a sudden I was like, no, like I miss this stuff. Like this is where I truly thrive and grateful enough to have a coach that wholeheartedly believes in me doing anything I set my mind to. So having already trained for a while, done a lot of the internal work and also knowing that like I could push myself in many different ways, it was then a matter of, all right, how do I make sure my body is ready for this? And like I had the muscle mass and I had the sort of routine and lifestyle that was going to allow for this to go as seamless as possible. And yeah, after a good amount of time, then we pulled the trigger back in 2023, I think was my first show. So yeah.
Yes, incredible. And what was the transition like going from something like athletics, which is obviously, very focused on your athleticism and your actual performance versus training for something like bodybuilding, which you're obviously training for aesthetics? Like, how was that shift for you?
Didn't really notice the shift too much because I think there was a good amount of years between the two. So I had already started like training in the gym and looking a little more at my body in an aesthetic way rather than just like the performance side of things. So I think if it had been a lot closer timeline wise, there would have been a greater shift. But for me, it was more like I love the prep itself. I love the process. And I think that spoke a lot more to me than the aesthetics and getting really shredded and lean side of it. So I feel like those things aligned really well, not making it too hard to feel the performance versus the aesthetic side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then tell me about your first show experience. Like, if you could go back and sit with that version of you, what would you tell her?
I give her a big hug, a really big hug. She really needed it. But my first show was really a great experience. I genuinely loved it. And like, I know a lot of people maybe have mixed feelings about their first time on stage, but for me, it was really exciting and really positive. Like I said, I fell in love with the prep itself, like the processes, the rigidity, the structure. And I just remember being like, oh my God, I love all of this. Am I going to like being on stage? Like, I remember being a bit nervous about that because that is so out of my depth. Like, being on stage, being really glam and like sparkly and lights on you, like doing athletics, you're sprinting and you're done pretty quickly. Whereas on stage, you're taking your time and you're doing all these other things. So yeah, first prep was a really good experience. And I think yeah, being able to understand that like the prep itself is what I've really enjoyed the most. Like that was satisfying for me too, to know that like I wasn't just doing it to perform on a stage and for that external validation. And yeah, when I did it and I had my first show, I was like so proud of what I was able to bring to the stage. I did enjoy every moment on there. And it was that solidifying reconnection with that like athlete part of me again. And I was like, miss this. This is me. I was like, I'm doing another show. I'm going to do another show. I don't know what it is, but it's going to happen. So it was a really positive experience. And funny enough, I actually, one of my now like closest friends, I met her through my first prep. So like to have an outcome that I did both like for myself, but then to have someone so close to me go through something like that. It was her first show as well. And she stood by me every step of the way this show too. So to know that like I could come out of that with such a close friendship as well just made the sport even better for me because it can be seen as a very isolating individual sport, but you can definitely connect with people around you. And it definitely made me so excited to continue doing more shows and continue meeting new people, making new relationships, and like being able to yeah, connect with that strong version of me. And like I said, I just want to give past me a big hug because she was very scared. And I just want to say she was so brave because it was something so new, right? And it was never about the stage or like the glitz and the glam. It was really just about proving to myself that like I could do something hard, uncomfortable, and almost just say to her, you have no idea what you're stepping into now. There are so many big things that are coming, and it's just a matter of taking that first step. That's all you've got to do, one step at a time. And yeah, I'm just so grateful that she did that, like grateful to pass me.
Yes, I love that message. I think that's so powerful. And tell me, did you place or anything in your first show?
I got call outs. I think I ended up placing seventh or something like that in my first show, which I was over the moon with. I was over the moon. For me, it was about getting on stage and, yeah, like I said, seeing if I really enjoyed it and just to get a good vibe of it all. So it was about that experience and like the proving to myself through the prep as a whole. So to come out of that with even that result, I was over the moon to then be more hungry and like come back even stronger next time.
Yes, absolutely. And like top 10 in your first show is amazing, but it's also important to note that, your win wasn't instant. Like it came from that time that you had between preps, which was, I think, a few years, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
About a year and a half to 2 years I had
Okay, yeah.
off the stage. Yeah, I think it was a year
Yeah,
and a
so
half between preps itself and then, yeah, 2 years between the stage.
yeah, so big off season, and in that time, like mentally and physically, that would have shaped everything that you brought to this next stage. So can you tell us what that in between phase looked like for you?
Yeah, I believe that that time did the world of good for me. It really shaped a lot. I knew I needed to grow, like definitely physically, but like yeah, I wanted to bring that better physique. I wanted to be something different the next time I stepped on stage, but I knew also like that mental side of things had to continue growing as well. I didn't want to just compete again. I didn't want to like just do it for the sake of it. I really wanted to make sure I was leveling up, that I was bringing something different. I was becoming something new, even. And I knew that wasn't going to happen if I just jumped on stage really quickly again. So it was really important to me that I took that time off. And it just gave me space to really like teach my body to handle a good amount of food. I mean, I am fortunate that my body can handle a good amount of food. It always has been. Thank you to my dad for that metabolism. But to make sure that that didn't change, like I didn't want to live in a deficit and alter that. So making sure I could eat all the food, fuel my body properly, build muscle in a really just like sustainable way and not feel like that had to be rushed. And it was important to not chase that leanness and that shredded look all of the time. I wanted to be able to shift my focus because, yeah, that aesthetic, constant chasing of a particular look, like it's taxing mentally. Like it's a lot to constantly focus on. So I was excited to be able to chase things like strength, progression in the gym, and like better training quality and a body that was going to be able to truly do more for me. And I know that that was only going to happen stepping away. And I was able to stop measuring my success by purely what I looked like and started focusing on all the other good things that our body does. So, yeah, it was definitely a really, really positive time away from the stage, both internally and externally. And it just gave me the headspace to like zoom out on goals that weren't just like body comp related. Cause, yeah, it can be really taxing. But I mean, even outside of the physical and mental piece, like it even gave me time to pour into other areas of my life because prep, we are so like narrow focus, tunnel vision, don't talk to me. Like it is so much, yeah, staying in your own lane there. And I was then able to pour so much into my mindset, into my career, the people around me, and really just being able to be present. And I think that that is so important because when we are constantly in that tunnel vision, like, are we really giving ourselves the opportunity to have more in our life outside of prep? Like, I love prep. I love competing. I love that part of me, but it is just a part of me. And I need to make sure that, like, I have other areas that are blossoming and growing around me. And I think that that actually allowed me to step on stage and feel different. Like, yes, physically, but I could feel the internal shift within me. And it was almost like I wasn't trying to prove something this time. It was from a place of that self trust and that growth. And like, I feel like that energy definitely showed this time. I felt that in me anyway.
Yes, I feel like you could almost see that on stage as well. Like you just had so much trust and confidence in yourself, which was absolutely incredible. Thinking back to your off season as well, was there ever a point in that off season where you really doubted yourself or the process?
Yeah, I mean, doubt is always going to be there. It is always going to be there. I think it is just part of being human. We can't escape that. So I think it was there, and it's you know if you're going to say that it wasn't, like, you're probably lying to yourself, and not a bad thing either. If we can like almost gaslight ourselves into things like that, can work in our favor. But I feel like when you care so deeply about something that you're doing and you want to always be better, there's going to be that element of doubt. So even at the start of prep, like I remember having moments where I was like, am I ready? Have I done enough this off season? Like I literally look back at I had a prep journal and I looked at my first entry when I was starting prep and I was literally like, have I built enough muscle? Like, have I done enough work? Like, am I really going to look different? Will my posing be any better? And it was full of those what ifs. But something else I remember writing in there was like, I never doubted the process. I trusted the work that I'd done, my coach, the plan, the path that I was on, all of those things. And the doubt was never necessarily a red flag. It was just a reminder that it's there to ground me almost in a way. Like I didn't let it take the wheel and absolutely take me around town. It was more like, okay, it's there to keep me humble. It's there to make sure I'm hungry for more, but it's then almost that fuel for me to know that like I can stay focused. I double down on my actions. Yes, the doubt is there, but like, how can I prove that doubt wrong? Like, how can I show it that like I have done the work and prove to myself that it is there? So I think when I was able to flip the script on doubt itself and not view it as so much of like a negative thing, it was easier to, like I said, use it as that fuel for fire. And I think that has come with a lot of the internal work that I did before I even stepped on stage the first time, like making sure that that felt rock solid. So that if things like doubt or comparison even or anything like that crept in, like I had the tools in my toolkit to handle it really.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that about your self-doubt as well, because I feel like it is so normal to have those thoughts, especially coming off the back of an off season. Like you can't necessarily see the progress in your physique because you've got that layer of body fat
Yeah,
over the top. So you're like, can I even lose this body fat again? Am I going to look any different? Have I lost,
literally.
have I even grown any muscle? Like you said about posing as well, like that obviously feels different in your off season too. And you're comparing like your last stage physique where you were, stage lean to now your off season where you've potentially got more muscle, but you don't know that yet. So it is quite scary and quite a common time to have self-doubt. But I love that you just absolutely leaned into the process. You trusted the process that your coach had set for you, and you'd obviously done the mindset work as well to really dial in and focus, which I think is so powerful and really is the key to a successful prep, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
So you've spoken about the role of visualization this prep as well, especially around posing and energy. Can you unpack that? Like, what did you visualize and how did it impact your performance?
Yeah, visualization for me is actually something that I learned a lot about in my athletics days. Like I remember being young, coach being like, just watch yourself run in your mind. And I'm like, why would you do that? But as I got older and even as I started stepping into the competing world, I was like, this is actually something you can really leverage in any space, really. And yeah, it stuck with me. And I'm really glad that it has because I feel like there's only so much your body is going to be able to do in a prep. You're pushing your body pretty hard, energy's low, fatigue's high, but visualization allowed me to do more of that physical work, but like in my head and not add more stress. I'd run through my routine in my head, like literally feeling myself walk on stage, seeing myself walk on stage, feeling the energy that I wanted to bring, imagining the transitions, even like the way I'm breathing, like through my poses. Like that was really important for me to do because I wanted to make sure that every part of me was ready for what I wanted to do on the stage, not just like my body, but my mind. And it was going to know exactly how that felt. And it allowed me to come in so much more grounded, calmer. I know that like my last time was my first time on stage. So there's always those real high nerves and jitters and uncertainty. So coming in this time, I didn't have as much of that, but I believe that my visualization allowed me to come in with that calmer presence. And I'd already done it 100,000 times in my mind and physically in my posing sessions as well. And I feel like that came through in how I was able to show up. I wasn't just like hoping to bring that energy. Like I knew that I had lived it a million times in my head. So when it came to it, it was just about like executing it with more lights on me and having some fun with it and believing that like I had done all the work. So it was just about putting it to action.
What kind of energy were you intentionally bringing to the stage this time around, and why was that important to you?
Energy felt like everything this time. I think I now had the experience of having been on stage. The first time, there's always, like I said, those nerves, uncertainty, but I really feel like I could bring my personality up there a little bit more. I'm definitely not that like sexy kind of vibe. I'm more of that klutzy kind of person. And I could bring some of that fun energy up there with me. And even when I look back at footage from my first show versus this one, I feel like my energy, I could see that calm steadiness, even that gracefulness, if I might say. I would never say that I'm graceful, but I felt that there was that grace there. Yeah. it's not something that I've ever really like used to describe me. In the past, I feel like I was just like finding my footing, obviously more nervous, like a little bit more focused on just like getting through it because like I hadn't necessarily done it before. But this time there wasn't that sense of rush. There wasn't that sense of like trying to prove so much to everyone around me. It was just like being in it because, again, like there was that trust within me to know that I visualized this, I've done it a million times. It is now just about having fun with it and having fun with the judges and being like, look at me, like I want your eyes on me, and just being able to, yeah, bring some more of my personality and humor and lightheartedness to it, because like it would reflect the work that I've done and it would show in how I'm able to be confident, soft, but then also show that I'm strong. Like I've done a lot of work to be here and take up that space without feeling like it's forced. Because yeah, I feel like that energy just speaks for itself, really. So, yeah, I was really happy with what I was able to bring up there because yeah, without it, it can look very different up there on stage.
Absolutely. And in what ways was this version of you on stage different from last time you competed a few years ago?
Worlds apart. Worlds apart. I mean, physique wise, I'd grown, I'd filled out. I was so happy with the complete package that I was able to bring physically. Yeah, I knew that I had done the work there. I could see it and feel it clear as day, but I feel like the biggest difference was just in how I was able to show up. Like last time, I was figuring myself out. I was learning how to pose for the first time. I'm like Bambi on ice in heels, and all of a sudden I was in these big heels trying to push my body out in different directions. So, yeah, that figuring itself out in that first prep is really important. And I think that's where you can also understand whether it's something you are going to enjoy, because I believe you need to enjoy this stuff. If you're not doing it for enjoyment and something that actually fuels you, you're in the wrong thing. You're in it for the wrong reason. So, yeah, that first time was just how to get up there. And this time there just wasn't that hesitation. I felt steady. I felt really present. I wasn't second guessing anything really. Like I was just like, no, I know what I've built. Yes, like I said, that doubt is there in the background. It is that little shadow, but I trusted everything that I was doing. I trusted the process and I just let that really speak for itself. So when I did get up there, the way I was able to hold my poses, the endurance even that I don't think I had last time, and being able to hold everything up there for as long as I did, the way I felt like I could engage with the judges even, and just like looking down, like looking at them. I feel like last time I was like, should I look at them? Do they want to look at me? Like a little bit unsure. Whereas this time it's just like, no, I'm here. Like, look at me. This is what I'm here to do. I wasn't trying to be someone else on stage. I was just showing up as the version that had already done all the pre-work and that was already ready to own every single moment of it up there. So it was a very big shift for me. But yeah, it's that off season, that time before you even decide that you're going to start prep, that allows for all of that work to unfold and come to light when you are then actually on the stage itself.
Yes, and winning a pro card is the dream for so many competitors, but what does it actually feel like in the moment when they call your name?
Honestly, it's a bit of a whirlwind, but for me, it felt like the world was almost aligning. I might get a little bit teary, so don't mind me. I'm a bit of a crier. But it felt like the world was aligning in some weird way. It was this surreal mix of like disbelief, but then almost this deep knowing of like, well, of course it happened. Like I did the work, but holy shit, it's actually happening. Like what's going on? It's so many emotions all wrapped up in one. But for me, yes, I wanted it, but it was never about just the title. It was about everything that had come before that, really. Like every single early morning, every hard decision, every moment that I just kept showing up when it would have been a hell of a lot easier not to. Everything that I'd poured into that moment, for a split second, like the world just stood still and I was like, that was my name, that was my number. Like, I need to walk now. Like, I need to move forward. And I also remember I just felt like I needed to be embraced. And the other gorgeous girls next to me, she had her hand on me. I just need to hug someone right now. Like, need to feel human connection. Yeah, I felt so, so proud. But more than that, I almost felt like that sense of peace and alignment. I was like, I'd finally caught up to this version of me that I had been chasing for so long that like I knew that I was, but now the rest of the world did as well. It's like I knew that I was showing up as a pro, but like, yeah, now everyone else sees that too. And it's not just a figment of my imagination in a weird way.
Yes. And has that moment changed how you see yourself?
Honestly, no. I would say I still feel like the same person. The pro card didn't necessarily change how I see myself. I feel like it just confirmed what I already like held within me these past few years and the person I feel like I've grown into becoming. I've seen myself as an athlete long before anyone else did, long before having any kind of title for it. I think it's important that when you are trying to become particular versions of yourself or chasing particular goals, like you need to show up as if you've already got it. You need to show up as if you already have every single one of those traits, as if you've already earned the title or the trophy or the card or whatever it is. So I think when you can show up with that particular standard consistently, then nothing really changes when it does happen. It feels really exciting. You're on cloud nine, but like I said, it's more of that like peace and alignment of like, now things like now it is real. Now the world does see it. And it just brought that external recognition to something that like I had already believed in myself with. So it meant so much to me to have that and to have all my family, friends, and everyone in the crowd as well, because I am originally from Sydney. So I had so many people in the crowd there watching, and to just share that moment with them. Like there's photos of me where I'm holding the trophy up and like screaming at them. And that photo for me is everything. It's like, well, they hold so much of that win in it with me because like they got me across the line when things were really hard and they saw that version of me before any judges did, before anyone else on anywhere really did. So yeah, it just means a lot. Sorry, I'm crying
Oh,
now.
it's such a special moment. I honestly have goosebumps just thinking of, that moment for you and seeing that happen for you as well and having all of your special people there. It just makes it so, so much more, even more incredible. Looking behind the scenes, like where obviously all the hard work is done leading up to the show, what did a typical day in prep look like for you? And what would surprise people the most about your routine?
Honestly, I feel like a typical day in prep is really mundane, really structured. I mean, there's a lot of boxes to tick, but it's almost not even this high intensity thing every day. It's just like consistent, disciplined choices over and over and over and over again. Like you'd get up early, get your steps in, train, eat your meals, you'd work, go to work, do whatever else you need to do. And it's just about hitting the repeat button. Like it is really, really routine. And that's what makes it work. I love that too. Like I love that part of prep. I'm like, give me the predictability. I'm here for it. But yeah, I feel like when people look at a prep, like they can probably think that it is a bit more glamorous or this absolutely crazy grind. Don't get me wrong, it definitely is a grind and there are hard moments in it, but it's almost got to be like boring in the best way. Like it just needs to be really boring. It's about getting the basics right and in particular managing things like your energy and just the small adjustments where they're needed. It's not about chasing these big bold extremes. It's about doing the small pieces over and over again and trusting your coach. They'll make the changes, they'll make the decisions, and I feel like I am what I don't know if I'd say fortunate enough. Like my body does respond pretty well to things like my steps didn't need to get above 12,000. I didn't need to have extremely low calories or anything like that. It's never about adding more to my plate or consistently working and grinding myself harder to the ground. It's just about being smart with what's already in place and like putting that trust in my coach of being like, here's my stress levels, here's my sleep, here's everything. Tell me what to do so I can follow the plan to a T in the most boring way possible.
Yes, I think that's so important to say. Like, prep is boring and it's routine. Like, it's exciting at the same time, but you're doing that routine stuff over and over. And it's almost like the minimal effective dose, right? Like, you're
Yeah.
doing the minimum that you have to do to get the results that you want. Because, if you go and start doing 40 minutes of cardio when you're meant to be doing 20, and then like you're adjusting your own food, and then you go and check in with your coach, like they have no room to move it because you've already been doing more than you're meant to be. So if you just do that minimal effective dose all the way through and stay honest with your coach, it honestly makes the whole process so much easier. And that sounds like exactly what you did.
100%. And like, wouldn't you rather know you could get away with doing less and still getting a great outcome? Like, I think people get caught up in that it should be so, so hard. And don't get me wrong, like I said, there are times where you do need to work really hard and you need to push yourself. But if you can know you could get more with less, wouldn't you rather that? Like, let's do that.
Absolutely. And how did you manage the emotional side of prep, like the self-doubt, the fatigue, and the comparison?
Yeah, the emotional side of prep is, for me anyway, it is the hardest part. Like, yeah, that self doubt can creep in, the fatigue, the comparison is definitely there. It's all there, and like I said earlier, it is that piece that I allow in just enough so it can ground me. But I think what helped me with all of that is just learning how to sit with it without letting it drive the ship. Like, yep, it's there, it steadies me out, it pushes me to do more. And I didn't ever pretend that they weren't there. I acknowledged it. I'm a big journaler, so I was journaling about it, spoke about it with, those that I needed to, but I never let them take complete control, like, at all. I just reminded myself that these things usually aren't facts either. Like, they're usually there, they're like a figment of my imagination, just pulling things out to try and convince me or gaslight me that, oh, this isn't happening, you need to do more. And then you fall into that trap of doing that extra 10, 20 minutes of cardio because, oh, what if I haven't done enough? So yeah, I think allowing those things in, but yeah, making sure that I'm still in control and I almost have receipts of my, like, for myself of like, no, I have done enough. This is how I know I've done enough. The coach has told me I've done enough, or I can see that I've done this many steps. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And they usually show up when I was tired, when I was depleted, when I was deep in the thick of it. So I think acknowledging when these things are showing up too is really important, because it's not going to be when you're feeling your best. And that does make it a whole lot harder. But I think when you are feeling your best, setting yourself up with those tools and resources that you know are going to help you through those periods is really, really important. So yeah, for me, it was almost like talking to my future self of being like, no, when this comes up, read this, do this. So I knew exactly who to lean on and when. Comparison is always a big one in prep, especially with social media. Like, God, it would have been nice to do prep when social media wasn't a thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know people, deactivate social media sometimes too. It does make it that little bit more tricky, but I just kept bringing it back to, like, I don't win or I don't show up as my best self by looking at someone else's physique. Like, that does not change my outcome. It doesn't change their outcome. I can be my best by showing up for myself and doing the work that I know I need to do. So every time, like, my head started going there, I'd pull it back, I'd rein myself in, and I'd be like, what actually needs to happen right now? It's not going to be staring at someone else or being like, why do they look like this and I don't? Or why are they doing this and I'm not? Do I need to do what they're doing? It's like, no, I know what I need to do, and looking at them isn't going to change absolutely anything. So that allowed me to stay really steady. I also didn't go out of my way to find people that was going to be in my category or anything like that. Like, I was just like, well, if I already follow them, cool. If I don't, well, I'll meet them on show day, and that'll be a fun experience too. So I think, yeah, not seeking that stuff out was always really helpful, and just making sure I was staying in my own lane, because, yeah, then there wasn't that necessary, like, there wasn't that great fear or anything. Like, it was there, the doubt was there to keep me humble, but it was never something that was going to derail what I was doing or my focus.
Absolutely. And did you have any moments or a moment during this prep where you genuinely questioned if it was going to be worth it?
In all honesty, there was one moment. Not necessarily whether it was going to be worth it, but it was more like, is this the right time for it? Like, the world keeps turning when you're in prep. You can be doing all the things in prep, but the world keeps going. There are still going to be things that come up personally, professionally. Like, these things are still going to be tricky, and prep is, I think, yeah, something important to note is, like, prep is hard on you as a person, but it's also hard on those around you. And I definitely felt that through this prep. There were some very emotional and challenging periods around that time. And I found myself wondering, like, if other areas of my life maybe needed me a little bit more than what I could give through a prep, because you do have to be that bit selfish when you are competing. It's like, no, I need to do these things for me. So it was never a doubt in the process or the outcome. It was more or less just about, I felt I was being pulled in a lot of directions, and I knew I couldn't honor every part of that with all of me. So that was probably the only moment of doubt there. But I think what allowed me to come out of that, know that this was still something I was going to continue to do. Like, that was where communication came in really, really strongly. It was so important with myself, my husband, my friends, my coach, my whole support network. Like, I had to be really honest about where I was so that I could be supported and have that external sort of advice to just know whether, like, okay, is this the right time? Do I have the support? Do people around me have the support that they need? Because yeah, it's not you. It's not just you doing a prep. It is those closest to you. It's not their goals either. It is yours, and it's always going to mean more to you than it is to them. So I think navigating that made the end result so much more meaningful too. Like, I think it's important to know that no prep is going to be easy. My first prep was hard in a lot of different ways, whereas yeah, this one came with that emotional side heavily. It made it more meaningful because I didn't just go through the prep, like, I grew through it. I became better at communicating. Who is she? So yeah, I was just able to come out of that knowing that I really had done the work, and it may not have always felt like the right time, but I did the right things to make sure that I was able to get through it, and those people around me were too.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about that inner work and, obviously doing the work as well, how did you work on that inner confidence, particularly when it comes to posing?
Posing does not come naturally to me. It is the hardest part. I'm like a giraffe, like, there's long limbs there. I have really small feet as well for my height. So I don't know if there's a balance thing that's in there too, but it doesn't come naturally. It's definitely not something that I'm fluid with. And at the start, it did really feel forced. I was like, I'm really trying here. I can lift heavy, I can diet hard, I can grind through cardio, I can do all these things. Like, why can't I pose? Because it is a really different kind of demand and presence. I almost feel like it's a different kind of vulnerability for me as well. Like, it is really stepping into this different side of me, and you have to embody this new persona almost. And I really used to overthink absolutely every angle, every hand placement. But the shift for me really came when I stopped trying to perform and then just started to embody, like, really embody, like, okay, there's a part within me that can do this. I need to find her. Like, she's in there somewhere. So when I was able to unlock that, like, now when I pose, it's not about hitting a shape, but it's just about becoming and showcasing everything I've built. Like, okay, what are the strongest parts of me that I can showcase? And obviously having a posing coach is going to help immensely with that, so they can see those strong parts of you too. But yeah, when you have that self-trust, okay, I've got the self-belief. And for me, it's about where, like, softness almost meets power. It's like, you can be really powerful when you're posing, but there's a softness to it as well that allows for that grace that I didn't know I had. Like, who is she? Yeah, it's really beautiful because I think that you're then able to showcase a physique that's a little bit more than muscle. It's almost like a message in a weird way of, like, I don't want to be just seen for how I look. I want to be known for, like, how I held myself when I did look that way. And posing then became that thing for me to showcase that. Once I was able to unlock that more softer, steadier part of me that felt more comfortable doing that. And again, that's a lot of that internal work that I was able to do to know how to speak to myself, to essentially, like, have that come out to the surface, because it didn't come out to the surface a lot in that first show, I will admit.
Yes, I love that. Honestly, you've like motivated me to go and chuck my heels on after this recording
Yes,
and do some posing. Just
do
you
it, do it.
thinking about it like that just makes me want to go start posing, which is
Yeah,
not
maybe
like
I'll
I
quickly
don't
grab the
like.
heels again.
Yeah. I'm not someone who likes posing, so like that's, it's obviously very motivating what you're saying, and that transformation as well that you go through, which is so much more than obviously physical, which yeah, I love how you put that. And then how has your relationship with your body as well evolved throughout your competition journey?
Yeah, my relationship with my body, it has evolved a lot, massively, not even just through competing and the prep side of things, like very first time stepping in the gym, which was many, many years ago. But when I first started competing and really thinking about prep, like, I think I placed a lot of value on how lean I could get or what I was going to look like specifically on show day. And I tied a lot of that worth to potentially the outcome, like not wholeheartedly, but I definitely felt a little bit of that sense. Like my first show was definitely all about the experience and whatnot. But I also wanted to know that, like, oh, I could be something up there. Like, okay, is this something I could be competitive in? And did I look lean enough? Could my body get to that point? The conditioning, the stage shots, everything like that. And I even reflect on getting my stage shots after my first show. I was so much more critical. Like, I was really critical of myself. Whereas this time, I wasn't as much. Like, I was a lot more like, no, I know everything that it took to be the person that was up there. And I'm so proud of everything I bought and externally and internally. Whereas the first time, I think I was viewing it a little more externally, which always comes with that more critical lens and is always a lot harder to then look at those pieces. But over time, especially with the off season and giving myself that time and space, I learned to see my body through a wider lens, I guess you could call it. Like, it's not just something that you sculpt or like really build. It's something that you got to care for. Like, you really need to give your body lots of TLC, because like, I've built a body that can train hard, that can handle a good amount of food, that can recover well. Like, that's important too. And that can show up and perform consistently. And I feel like that's the real power in treating your body that way. It's not about, treating it as a temple and doing everything. Don't get me wrong. Like, that's great too. But it's really about acknowledging that self-respect and care for your body, because when you do respect it, like, it does a whole lot more than just show you that. Like, it actually does it for you. The stage is really just one moment in time. As big as the prep is and everything like that, it is just one really small pocket of time, right? I think the real relationship is built in the day-to-day stuff, in those real quiet consistencies in the way that you speak to yourself, and especially when no one's watching. Like, how do you speak and treat yourself when no one's looking or watching? And I think that that is really important too. Yeah, I feel like if that doesn't evolve too much and you stay in that critical thinking or negative mindset, it doesn't matter what the outcome of any show is going to be. Like, it's never really going to feel good enough, or that you've almost done the work, because you don't see or respect your body in that way. And I think competing's really taught me to, I guess, just appreciate my body in every single phase, in the fluffier phases, in the denser phases, not when I am like just lean. And to be honest, I prefer myself with a bit more body fat as well. I like having a little more shape, because being lean, you've got all these lines, but you're just a small human. You're really just a small human. And I think that, yeah, it's unexpected, but it's a really valuable shift for me to have navigated and come out the other side of.
Absolutely. And is there something you had to unlearn, a belief or a habit, in order to grow into the competitor that you are now?
Definitely. I think the biggest one for me to unlearn, yeah, I would definitely say unlearn, was the idea of just having to do more and to just like add more to my plate. I'm someone that, like, give me more. I'll do it. Tell me what to do and I will do it. So if you tell me to do more, I will do it. And there was a stage where I thought progress was just about grinding harder. It was just about pushing more. It was saying yes to every single thing and more hustle, more bustle, all of that. But eventually I realized that growth, and not just growth in general, but that real sustainable growth, the stuff that you can maintain long term, that comes from doing the right things with the right intention, not just doing more for like the absolute sake of it. And I think I had to unlearn that rest wasn't the enemy. It wasn't the weakness, essentially. Like, that's the real key part in that for me, to slow down and be okay with it. I think a lot of the work I did on my mental health many, many years ago allowed me to step into that a little more naturally, because you can't keep going and going. You need that support and that steadiness. And that doesn't make you any less of an athlete. It makes you more of an athlete if you are able to slow yourself down and recover, because taking up space in that stillness is honestly just as powerful as pushing hard in the gym. Like, everything you do out of the gym is what's going to allow you to show up better in the gym and on stage and everything else that you're doing. So being able to lean into that a lot more and not feel like I had to just put more on my plate for the sake of it, it allowed me to expand a whole lot more intentionally in every area of my life. And yeah, that version of me just wasn't in the building season, the improvement season. It was just as worthy and impressive when it then came to the prep and competing side, because yeah, if you're not recovering, your body's going to find it hard to grind and keep going, especially in those final weeks. Like, it does get tough. That fatigue definitely sets in and sleep starts getting disturbed. So it is all the more important to find those pockets of time that rest and slowing down is productive. You don't always need more.
Yes, that is so, so important. And it's easier said than done. Like,
Most
I'm
definitely.
definitely someone as well that struggles to slow down. And then something that helped me because, after my first prep, like, I definitely didn't slow down enough or put enough time in for recovery, but was actually scheduling it in my calendar, whether that was like
Yes.
a sauna session or a massage or physio, or literally just like going for a slow walk where I'm not listening to like business or finance podcasts or like trying to always
Yeah.
cram things in or responding to DMs while I'm walking. Like, just actually having that time to slow down and actually scheduling that into my calendar is something that definitely helped me.
Yeah, I feel like when we are in prep, like we're just ticking boxes and doing the things. If it's not there on the calendar, probably not going to do it. Hey, so I definitely resonate with slotting that in.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that you have won your pro card, what's next for you? Do you have a timeline for your pro debut, or are you just letting everything unfold?
Just letting everything unfold for now. No decisions on my pro debut just yet. I mean, I think it's only 3 weeks post show now, which is weird to think 3 weeks already, but wow, how has it already been 3 weeks? So right now, my focus is just reverse dieting, getting my body back to a really healthy, sustainable place, because being this is not healthy or sustainable. So it's really important that I can give back to my body in those ways. Rest, as I mentioned earlier. But yeah, for me right now, it's really important to prioritize the relationships around me. Like, my support crew gave everything to me through this prep, and I want to be able to give my energy back to them, like to my work, to my clients, even. And like, it's really important to me that I can show up fully in those spaces again before diving back into prep mode. I mean, that said, I am really hungry to get back on stage. Like, I really want to be up there, but it's really important to me. And the best thing for me and my body right now is to just stay present and let this next phase just unfold properly. And I think also just sit in and immerse myself in what just happened. Like, it's so important to do that. I think if I was to quickly just jump straight into the next thing, like, I've almost robbed myself of the opportunity to be like, I just got my program, like I just won, like, rather than just diving headfirst into something else. Yeah, I really just want to let it unfold, get feedback from the judges of anything that's going to be useful and helpful when I do step on stage for my pro debut again. So yeah, I think once those foundations are really solid again, there will definitely be talk about getting back on stage, because I want it. I do want it. It is just a matter of when. And yeah, just making sure it's never the perfect time, but it's just like the best time.
Absolutely. And for the listener who is deep in an off season, doubting themselves or waiting longer than they expected for their moment to go pro, what would you say to them?
Stick it out, stay with, if there's anything that I can say, it's just stay with it. I feel like there is going to be that doubt. There is going to be that feeling of like, how much longer can I do this for? But that's exactly what I was thinking in between my two shows. And it led me to being the best version of myself on stage and the outcome that I'd always dreamed of. So I also feel like an off season can feel almost so deflating in a weird way. Like, there's no trophy, there's no tan, there's no peak week hype, and there's no flashiness. But that is where the real winners are made, the ones that are able to stay in that, because that's where you grow, not just your physique, like everything I've mentioned here today, like your discipline, your resilience, the belief that you have in yourself. And if you can stay in that, there's a whole lot of delayed gratification in this. And if you can train yourself to sit with that, it is going to pay off massively. And I know it is hard when you're not seeing those instant results or getting the external recognition even too, because I mean, even on social media, post a selfie in your build phase, people will enjoy it. Post a selfie in prep, shredded and lean, everyone loves it. So I know it's really hard, and I've definitely been there questioning if it's all going to be worth it. Have I really built it? Is there things actually changing? But I promise you, if you keep showing up with intention, like if you stay connected with your why, like come back to your why, like why are you doing this? Why is prep important to you? Because I can guarantee you, if it's important for the right reasons, staying in the off season and building is going to be what you need to be doing. And your moment will come. It will come. And when it does, it will mean so much more because you know you stayed with, you know you lent in, you know everything you've done to overcome it. And you really don't need to be the loudest, the leanest, or the most confident right now. You just need to keep going. And I always believe those quiet consistencies, they're always going to win in the end. If you are consistent and ticking the boxes when no one's watching, all of a sudden when people are watching, you will be the one that stands out on top. So because you've done the work when you didn't have all the hands clapping and everyone cheering for you.
Yes, wow, I could not have said that better myself. That's such a powerful and important message. One last question and a deep one to finish off.
Hit me, let's go.
What is one thing you now know to be true that you didn't believe a year ago?
This is a big one, right? It's like it can be so deep, so many layers. But I would say the one thing that I know to be true that I didn't necessarily believe even a year ago is like, I am capable. I am worthy of being up there with the best. Like, I am worthy of those things. A year ago, I definitely still had those doubts, but they were maybe just steering the ship a little bit more than what like I allow for it now, because that, am I really good enough or can I really pull this off? Like, was sitting there a little stronger, and I wasn't able to own everything that I really wanted. So after going through this season of like going through everything that this season has asked of me, really, like mentally, physically, emotionally, all of those pieces, like I now know I can hold the standard. Not just once, not just on show day, but like every single day that leads to it. And I feel like that belief is the real win. Like, yep, the actual win and the title, they're incredible. But I think just knowing that I can trust myself, I can back myself, and I can be that version of me that like I know has always been inside me has been absolutely everything to me. And it even comes back to exactly what we spoke about right at the start of like that self-belief that was so hard for me to work on and to wholeheartedly have, to know that like that's something I just have and I embody now every day. Like that's the full circle moment for me. And to know that, yeah, that is not something that I'm second guessing like I used to. Like no title or pro card is ever going to trump that. Like that is the stuff that like gets my juices flowing. And that's what makes me more excited to continue to lean into another off season or like get up on stage again. It's not about like the outcomes or the placings or anything like that. It is just that proof in the pudding of like, what can I prove to myself? It's like, what can I showcase? How can I try to lead from the front, inspire other people, or get across the right message? Like, they're things that are really, really important to me. And I think, yeah, knowing to be true that I am capable and I am worthy of these things is something I didn't believe a year ago. So I'm so proud of me to now be at a point where that is the truth, and I can say that with that passion and that fire behind me. Like, yeah, I am that girl. I am that girl. I did that. So yeah, I'm getting antsy and excited just talking about it.
Yes, I love that. You can honestly see like the change that has gone on within you as well. And all of the work that you've done has like led to the incredible person that you are now. And, you know, you
Thank
speak
you.
that way and you embody that clearly within your day-to-day life as well, which is absolutely incredible. I will link your socials down below so that people can follow your journey and see what you end up doing next, because I'm also very excited to see. But thank you so much for your time today. And thank you so much for sharing your journey and your knowledge and your wisdom. I think this has been so valuable for anyone listening.
Thank you so much. No, it has been an absolute pleasure. Loved the deep dives and some of the questions. Excuse the little tears that did roll down. Honestly, it wouldn't be a conversation without me, without some tears. So we've done the right thing today.
Yes, I love that. And thank you as well to our listeners. If you could give this podcast a follow and a rating on the app that you are listening on, it really does help us to grow and get on more incredible guests like Bec. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.